Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. Join me today as my special guest is Joe Hart, who happens to be the CEO of Dale Carnegie, but he's one of the authors of a book that's just released a few days ago called Take Command, and I think it's a topic that's really important in today's world. It's all about finding your inner strength and assisting you in creating the life that you want. So stay with me for that interview today. And just a reminder, I will be doing a special 4-course wine pairing dinner at the Ridgewood Winery in Bechtelsville, PA on January 29th, and a special Valentine's Day themed 4-course wine pairing dinner on February 10th. You can sign up on eventbrite.com. Registration is limited. If you have any questions on either of those events, feel free to email us at info@marialiberati.com. Again, that's the Ridgewood Winery on January 29th and February 10th. Today, my guest is Joe Hart, who I'm really excited. He is the CEO of Dale Carnegie Training. I'm sure you've all heard of Dale Carnegie. And he's going to share with us some info, too, on a really interesting book that he just released. It's called Take Command. It has some great tips for everything, especially for today, but any time in your life. Joe, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Maria. Great to be with you today.
Take Command was just released, correct?
It was just last week, as a matter of fact.
Wow. Wow. So it was just released. And I know you told us that, you were explaining to me, so there's 3 parts that you shared of taking command in 3 parts, I guess, of your life in different facets. So I guess maybe if you can share with us a little, some snippets of the book, some takeaways that people can get from your book. So yes.
Sure. Thank you for asking. And just maybe even offer a little bit of background of it, even,
Yes.
how I got to Dale Carnegie, because I think so much of this book is based on Dale Carnegie. I grew up in a house of, my father had read Dale Carnegie. My mother took a Dorothy Carnegie course in the 60s. And so I'd heard about it. I took a Dale Carnegie course as a young man, as a lawyer, and it changed everything for me. And, I left the practice of law, started a business, and also really started to develop better human relations skills. I think at that time, it was really kind of bumpy in terms of how I might interact with other people. So Dale Carnegie had been a really huge part of my career, my business, everything, long before I became the CEO of Dale Carnegie in 2015. But during the pandemic, Michael Crom, who is a Dale Carnegie board member, he's Dale Carnegie's grandson, we were talking about just all that the world was going through, and the stress and the challenges and the isolation. And we thought, wouldn't it be great if we could write a book based on Dale Carnegie's principles. These principles have been around for 110 years. How to Win Friends and Influence People has been a bestseller for 86 years. But what if we could write a book based on these ideas, primarily for a younger generation, but really for anybody, that really is about, and this gets to your question, 3 things. It's part 1 is taking command of your thoughts and your emotions, right? You think about all the things that we could be stressed and worried about, or we go through our days and we might see something on social media, might make us upset, or we get an email, whatever it is, but how do we really take command of our thoughts and our emotions so that really, no matter what happens, we can be stronger and more resilient, and we can be more determined and intentional in our lives. Mm-hmm. The second part is taking command of our relationships, which, so much of our lives, the quality of our lives is the quality of our connections with other people, whether it's at work or in our families or communities. And then once I've done that, how do I take command of my future? It's like, what's my vision? Too often people will get to the end of their lives and they'll say, gosh, I wish I had traveled. I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done all these different things, and it's too late. And so part of what we want people to do is, hey, what's important to you? What are your values? And how do you start right now being intentional about this? So the entire book is on those ideas, and it's based on Dale Carnegie principles, modern stories, diverse people from all over the world.
Oh, that's wonderful. Really interesting, because I actually started my podcast during the pandemic because I wanted to, I was felt like, I need to inject some positivity out there. And I think this book, it was great because you said that, the idea, right, happened during the pandemic also. And I love all the tips that you're giving because it is really important. I think, especially because of the pandemic, as you mentioned, there's so much stress out there, and people are just lots of stress because it's brought kind of another wrinkle into relationships and our career and our daily life and all this. And many people don't know how to handle it. And I think it's wonderful that you were able to bring in the Dale Carnegie principles, which I know I've grown up with as my entrepreneurial career. And whatever I did, I always looked to tips, anything that I could find from
Mhm.
Dale Carnegie. So I just want to ask you one thing. You
Sure.
mentioned that, was it your mom that you said took a course from the Dorothy Carnegie? Was there
Yeah,
something
so
like that?
yeah,
Someone else
there
said.
was actually there was a Dale Carnegie. I mean, cool. The Dale Carnegie course has been run for 110 years, but there was a period of time when there was
Uh-huh.
a Dorothy Carnegie. Dorothy was Dale's wife, and there was a period of time that was a program that was offered, and my mother took that course in 1965. So
Uh-huh. Wow.
and then my father had read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it was hugely
Right.
influential on him. But just to go back to something you're saying, I couldn't agree
Yes.
with you more. I mean, you think about even things that we could do before the pandemic, and it's like all of a sudden, we were in our own homes, or we had stress and worry, and now things we used to do had become harder, or we got really comfortable, and maybe didn't want
Exactly.
to go out and push ourselves, and I just think about myself, Maria, in the beginning part of the pandemic, it's like I'm leaving this business, this global business, and all of our operations are shutting down. I was under a lot of stress and waking up in the middle of the night. And people do that. You wake up in the middle of the night, you have these negative thoughts, you think about all the horrible things that are going to happen. And,
Exactly.
for me, it was pivotal because, one of the things that Dale Carnegie talked about is that, our lives are what our thoughts make it. He was quoting a former emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, who said that. But you could have two people in the same situation, and one person is they're excited, they see opportunity. The other person is down, they're negative. The
Yes.
difference is our thoughts. I mean, so you looked at the pandemic and you said, you know what? I want to start a podcast. I want to do something positive. I want to try to help people. Somebody else might not have had that perspective. So your mindset was one of saying, like, how do I contribute? But that starts with
Exactly.
your thoughts.
And not to interrupt you, but I just want to kind of add, and it really adds to what you're saying. So I was actually, right before the pandemic, I was actually supposed to start a radio show and a TV show. And what happened was all the studios were closed down because of the pandemic. So, yeah. So, going back to what you're saying, I could have been negative and said, oh, what am I going to do now? I can't do anything, and just kind of been down and depressed. Or what was I going to do? I'm finding a way to, make lemonade out of lemons. Hey, I'll just start a
That's right.
podcast. And that's really, I think people overlook our, ability really to do that. We all really do have that. It's just, as you said, it's your thoughts. And it makes a big difference. So any takeaway, like just quick tips for people that, on either, you know, keeping those negative thoughts away, and trying to instill, more confidence in yourself into overcoming some
Yeah,
of
and
those.
confidence is a huge part of what we talk about. And when we're trying to lead people, it's like, how do you get to the point wherever you are with your confidence level, you get even more confident?
Yes.
And so we would say, first of all, you're going to have negative thoughts, you're going to have negative emotions. That's life. So one thing we focus on right up front is paying attention to what it is that we're thinking and what it is that we're feeling. So, for example, I can imagine you at one point, you're thinking, gosh, the radio station, all these things are shut down. I mean, you could say, I guess you can't do anything, but you stop yourself. Wait a second. What could I do? So the first thing is pay attention to your thoughts, because I think what happens is we're often on autopilot. So chapter 1.1, we say, start paying attention and observing the way that you think.
Mhm.
And then, start actively asking yourselves, are these thoughts that are serving me? And how do I use them so you can reframe your thoughts? We have a story about a man in the book whose name is Artis Stevens, and Artis was someone, he wanted to play football for the University of Georgia. That's what his dream was, and he got this catastrophic injury, and he was just depressed. But he basically flipped his mind to say, my mind was success is playing football, but what if you said success is going to school? And he went to the University of Georgia academically, and he got into the school he wanted to get into, but it wasn't necessarily around football. We can reframe our thoughts. Another idea is using, our thoughts and our negative thoughts as an early warning system. If we're driving down the street and we have a light going off on our dashboard, the oil light, we're not happy that it's going off, but we're glad it's going off because it's warning us that we need to do something. And if I have a negative thought or a negative emotion, I might say, all right, well, just time out. What is this telling me? If I feel stressed right now, why am I feeling stressed? Is it because I have something coming up and I need to prepare for it? Or if I feel regret, maybe it's because I need to correct something. I said something to somebody, so paying attention to these things and then ultimately starting to condition our minds for success, right? So what are the things we can do, the routines that we can set up for ourselves, the habits that we can build every day, so that this just becomes absolutely automatic. And we're the kind of people who, when we have challenges, it's like, you know what, we're going to get through this, and where's the opportunity here, and so forth. Because life, we've all got challenges, and we're all going to continue to have challenges as long as we're alive.
Exactly. And I think you'll agree with me on this, that you'll find that once you overcome, challenges, it gives you more confidence. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're always going to have them. So people have to realize, I think, that, there's, even though you've overcome one, something's going to come along. You think you're smooth sailing and something comes along and you have to overcome another. But hey, you overcame one. So it's most likely possible to figure out a way to overcome your next challenge.
Yeah,
And
no question.
yes, definitely. So tell us, where can we find the books? The book Take Command, if people want to get those.
Yeah, so it's if you go to takecommand.com, that will provide information about the book, as well as where you could buy it on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble. It's available on Audible, on Kindle, and on hardcover. So it's pretty much all major booksellers are selling it. But if you go to that website, it can link you to a range of different sites to buy it. Also, DaleCarnegie.com has all kinds of information about resources, about our courses. We offer in-person and online courses all over the world. So if people want to, taking command through the book is certainly a key thing. For me, it was also taking the Dale Carnegie course with a trainer and with other people that really made a huge difference for me as well.
Yes. And I do know, I've always heard so many positive things about Dale Carnegie. So, but I didn't know you do online things now, which is wonderful, but that would make sense. So people anywhere can take advantage of one of the courses. And do they have, I thought they had like chapters or something. Am I mistaken? Or is it something that they may not do that anymore because of the pandemic, but do they have something like that?
Yeah, there used to be, I know it was pretty widely, I don't know if they still do this now, but these Carnegiean groups, people would get together kind of like Toastmasters and that type of thing. So that may be happening in some communities. I think it's not a consistent thing. But what we do have, certainly are groups of people who are connected to our programs, where there are graduate programs and kind of alumni programs and things like that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So I guess the main thing is just go on dalecarnegie.com and people can take advantage also of all the resources and find out more about the organization, rather, about Dale Carnegie. Joe, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully everybody will get a chance to take advantage of all that wonderful advice advice that you're giving in Take Command, and Dale Carnegie also. It's, definitely tops of my book. So
Thank you.
for anything, yes. Thank you so much for being here. Much success. Hopefully you'll come back. I'm sure you're going to write another book soon too.
Well, thank you for having me, and thanks for the great work that you're doing. And again, one other thing I was going to say, if people want to
Yes.
follow me, they can follow me on Twitter at Joseph K. Hart, or also on LinkedIn. And I'm constantly publishing more content. So, but thank you for having me on your show. It's been great to be with you today.
Great. And we'll put that information on the website for the show at the MariaLiberatiShow.com also. That's great. All right. Thanks so much, Joe. We'll be talking to you.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show. And thanks as always to my producer, Britton Roselle, and this week's special guest, Joe Hart, CEO of Dale Carnegie Training, and the author of Take Command. And you can join me at a special wine pairing dinner at the Ridgewood Winery. That will be a 4-course wine pairing dinner at the Ridgewood Winery in Bechtelsville, Pennsylvania. We'll be doing one on January 29th. I'll be doing a cooking demo there along with a wine pairing dinner, and that's January 29th, and a special Valentine's Day themed 4-course wine pairing dinner on February 10th. And again, the Ridgewood Winery is in Bechtelsville, Pennsylvania, and you can register on eventbrite.com. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on Roku at the Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati channel, and our new YouTube channel, which is the Maria Liberati Show, and my Vimeo channel, which is the Maria Liberati channel as well. And you can find all of my books in the Gourmand World Award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, at artoflivingprimamedia.com, at Amazon, Kindle, and really anywhere books are sold online. And until next week or my next episode, peace, love, and pasta.